Yeah, so look, today, again, when we get started, if you want to, as I said, turn off your microphones or cameras, then feel free. Today it's going to be very back to basics, so it's back to beginners. It's the first week of our mat classes, so we're going right back to basics. Now, I'm not going to really focus in on the breath tonight. I want you to focus on the muscles that we're trying to kick in, okay? So just concentrate on those more so than breathing. I will give option to progress on. There is going to be a bit of instruction as well, okay? So if you've done Pilates before, or maybe you're just joining us after the summer off, maybe you're just usual attendee this time of year, so like you might have a fair idea of what we're doing. So if you want to continue on doing the exercise as I explain or as I introduce the next move, please feel free. So yeah, as I said, back to basics. We're going to progress on as the weeks go on, and yeah, so you can drop us any comments or anything like that after, and hopefully everyone can see me. So I'm working off two platforms here, our kind of online Google Meet class, and then tonight then I'm doing Instagram and Facebook Live. So welcome everyone, thank you for joining us. So we're going to be 45-minute class or thereabouts, back to basics, beginners, and yeah, we'll get started. So we're going to start down on your back. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see me as well. Now, so we're going to be down on your back with the knees bent and feet on the floor. And we're just going to want to get awareness into our back. So I'm going to have my hands on my pelvis, and my thumbs are up towards my belly button and my fingertips down towards the pubic bone, with the heels of the hand on each hip bone. So from here I'm just going to kind of rock the pelvis back, where I flatten the back into the mat that I cannot get my hands in underneath, and then I'm going to rock the pelvis forward that the thumbs are now higher than the fingers and I can have my hand in underneath. So flatten the back into the mat as I rock the pelvis back, and arch the back as I rock the pelvis forward. So this is an important move to be able to kind of master at the start. We do this on hands and knees, you can do this in seated or on your back like we're doing now. And it just brings a lot more awareness into your pelvis and your lower back. If you have a stiff lower back, the pelvis, maybe that awareness is not there, and can just help eliminate any kind of aches and pains, having more awareness and movement in those areas. So as we do this, now again, you don't have to have the hands on the pelvis if you're aware of what's happening. Okay, so when you flatten the back into the mat, imagine you're tightening the tummy, okay, tummy towards the spine, and as we arch up, then you're just letting that go. So it's important that throughout the whole class there's no pain or pressure on your back, but it's also important that you learn to contract as well as relax the muscles. That's the same with the abdominals, same with the pelvic floor, same with any muscle. To keep it healthy, you have to learn how to contract and relax. So when we flatten the back into the mat that you cannot get the hand in underneath, you're tightening the tummy, engaging the tummy. Again, nothing too forceful, just a subtle tightening. But then just let it go then as you stretch the tummy, but you're tightening the back as we arch. So flatten the back into the mat, a little bit of tightening into the tummy, and arch the back up. You're stretching the tummy, okay? So now we need to find halfway between those two movements. So again, if you need, flatten the back that you cannot get the hand in underneath, arch the back up that you can, and now find halfway between those two movements. So this is meant to be our kind of safe position for our back, and everyone is going to be different. So keep that position in the back and the pelvis, and I'm going to get you to push into your feet to lift the hips up. So you can rest the hands down by the sides, push into the feet, lift the hips up, and then lower the hips right back down. So push through both feet, lift the hips up, squeezing the bum when you lift, or at the top of the movement, and then lower the hips straight back down. Again, try not to let the body come out of position or the back of the pelvis come out of position. So push through both feet, lift the hips up, squeeze the bum, and lower back down. So just bring your awareness to your big toe, okay, and your feet. Is the weight through the big toes, or has the weight gone to the outside of the feet? Okay, if you are a little bit more advanced, again, you can stay up there and go into your heel lifts, okay? But if you're only starting off and you just want to get the awareness into your body, if the big toes are up, that has a close connection to your inner thighs, your pelvic floor, your deeper abdominal muscles. So if you're not placing the foot or keeping the foot in contact with the floor, that can affect the whole chain. Okay, so it's important that we do keep the weight through the big toes. So if you need, pop a cushion or something in between the thighs to help keep them engaged and keep you aware of putting and keeping the weight down through the big toes. So you should feel the back of the legs kicking in here as well, squeezing the bum at the top. There should be no pressure on the back, maybe a little bit of tightening into the tummy, but we're not directly working the tummy. Okay, so we're going to go for 4 more. Push through both feet, lift the hips up, squeeze the bum. Now if you want to progress this on again, we can even see it by something simple like having the hands to the ceiling, shoulders back in against the mat. So we carry a lot of tension and stress through our shoulders, okay, in our arms. We mightn't feel it, okay, but maybe with the hands up you feel a lot more weight and pressure through those thigh muscles or through the bum, having to work a little bit more. So again, hands straight up, shoulders back in against the mat. And again, just be aware of that. Maybe if you do a lot of driving or you're sitting a lot during the day, keep the shoulders back. That's it. We got 2 more. Push through both feet, lift the hips up, squeeze the bum, and lower down. Last one. Again, keeping those big toes down. Push through the feet, lift the hips up. Again, squeezing the bum as well at the top, and lower the hips down. So just give the knees a little pull into the chest, a little rock from side to side. Now, so we get the feet back down on the floor again, knees are bent, and again take a second to find that neutral back position. So flatten, arch, and halfway between both. Now we're going into an exercise where I'm just going to let someone else in there, sorry. Okay, so we're going into an exercise where we're going to be lifting the upper body and we're engaging the abdominals again. So as we said at the start, try not to let the lower back and pelvis move. So flatten, arch, halfway between. Now, it's important that we don't let from the ribs down move. So a common mistake that can happen is that people rock the pelvis back and they come up. And you might see people doing sit-ups maybe like so, where they're actually moving the pelvis and the lower back. We don't want that at all. So once we find neutral spine, we're going to keep from the ribs down as still as you can, and I want you to focus on the upper body lifting. Okay, so focus on the shoulder blades lifting. So again, with this you can focus on the breath if you want, but again, if you just get too caught up at that, don't worry about it. We'll be adding it in as the weeks go on. So I want to bring the crown of the head up as you bring the chin towards the chest. Now again, the chin is not leading out. Okay, just lightly bring it up. And now you're going to focus on the breastbone. So the breastbone is a bone right down the center of the chest and the belly button. And we're going to come up into a flexed position. So again, I'm rolling my shoulder blades up. They're not staying stressed, or I'm not leading with my shoulders, okay? They're staying back and down. But my breastbone is coming up towards the belly button, okay? And that's engaging my tummy. Now, if you haven't been doing this or you're not familiar with it, you might find a lot of tension maybe in the neck. So just try relax the neck a little bit and we lower back down. So when we come up again, crown of the head coming up, breastbone towards the belly button. Try keep the ribs down still, and we're coming up. I'm going to have my hands slightly lifted up, not up too high, and I'm going to reach my fingertips down towards the end of the mat. Again, not letting my shoulders round up, keep them wide. And when we come up, we want to make sure the tummy's not popping or doming. And if it is, that's a sign that maybe we're not kicking in our abdominals. So if we see big popping up, okay, definitely not kicking in the abdominals. So just be aware of that. So if you need to drop down and reset, then please do. And again, chin towards the chest, breastbone towards the belly button as that distance gets shorter, and we're holding up there. Now you can focus on drawing the tummy towards the spine. If you're familiar with this exercise, you can bring the legs to tabletop. I'm not going to demonstrate now. If you're familiar with this exercise, you'll know what that is. Okay, we can start beat with the arms as well if you're familiar with this exercise. But otherwise, if it's new to you, just drop the hands down, drop the shoulders, drop the head down. Give the head a little nod from side to side. Relieve any tension that might be building up. And we'll go one more time. Everyone else who's done this before, keep holding there. Legs at tabletop or else straight into the ceiling. For beginners, crown of the head coming up. Again, breastbone towards the belly button, not letting the tummy pop or dome. Lengthen those hands down. Really focus on pulling the shoulder blades up as the breastbone comes towards the belly button. Check in, have the toes, big toes lifted up, have the knees gone wide. Make sure they stay in contact with the floor and the knees stay the same distance as the hips. And we'll hold up there for 3, 2, 1. Rest the hands, shoulders and head for everyone. Give the head again a little nod from side to side. Okay, so we'll give the neck a little bit of a break. We're going to go back to our first exercise, which is our bridge. So with this exercise, the closer the feet are to the bum, the easier it is, and the further away, the harder it is. So feet firmly onto the floor. Again, if you need a cushion or a pillow or a light blanket in between the thighs to keep the big toes in contact. My back is in that neutral position we talked about. And I'm going to push through both feet to lift the hips up. Now, if you find this fine and you want to progress on, try keep the pelvis as still as you can. Lift the right heel only, lower. Lift the left heel only and lower. Right, lower and left, lower. Now what we don't want is we don't want the hips rocking from side to side like I'm doing now. Try keep them as still as you can and just isolate the legs. Now as I said, the closer the feet are to the bum, the easier it is. And the further away, the harder it is. Again, we can have the option for the hands to the ceiling like we did before, or else just even keep the elbows down, but the hands up. Again, that's going to challenge the amount of weight through the feet. So again, you should feel the back of the thighs kicking in. When we go into our heel lifts, you'll feel the back of the lower legs kicking in. That's it. Again, keeping the glutes, the muscles in the bum tightened. And we go for 2 more each side. Last one each side. And rest the hips back down again. Now, keep that neutral position. We're going to work the abdominals again, but not lifting the upper body. This time the head is staying down. So I'm going to go slow through this, but again, anyone who's done this before, familiar with my classes, both legs can come to tabletop and you can go into your toe taps, or else you can see about straightening the legs out. So again, like we said before, we don't want the tummy to pop or to dome. So if you feel that lifting up or you pressure increasing in the abdominals, maybe just rest down and take a break. So if you need, maybe hands on the tummy just to get that bit of feedback. So my back is in neutral, my pelvis is staying still as well. And I'm going to focus on maybe drawing the tummy towards the spine. Now again, we don't want anything forceful. We have 2 types of muscles. We have our core that's working the whole time through the day, we hope. And then we have the muscles that we use to like lift things, to run up and down stairs, to get up. So a bit more kind of bursts of power, bursts of energy. So if we do this fast or explosive or forceful, the bigger muscles kick in and they bypass the core, okay? So step it back, take your time with it. So keeping the tummy tight, slowly take one leg to a position we call tabletop. So knee over the hip, foot the same height as the knee or a little bit higher, but not straight up. Okay, now I'm not going to jump the second leg up, and anyone who comes to my class will be sick of hearing me one leg at a time. But if I went and jumped the second leg up, okay, I'm going to exaggerate this, but my back might arch and my tummy will pop. So again, I want to get that awareness into the tummy, keep it tight, and gradually take some of the weight off my right leg. My left leg is a tabletop, gradually take some of the weight off my right. Now I haven't lifted up completely. I feel a bit of kind of popping up about to happen. So I'm just going to drop down and reset. Tummy stayed tight. My left leg is a tabletop. And again, I'm focusing on lifting, on keeping my tummy tight as I lift the right leg up. I've taken 100% of the weight off my right foot, and now I'm going to bring it up. But if you felt like the tummy is about to pop or the back is about to arch, maybe just take about 60-70% of the weight off the right leg and then lower back down. So that'll be your exercise until you feel you can take a bit more weight off it. Now if you feel you could take the weight off the second leg completely, without losing control. Okay, keep both legs at tabletop. If you need to do this, I want you to drop down and reset. Okay, we shouldn't have to do that because now I'm imprinted. And when we imprint, we're not really engaging the deeper abdominal muscles. We're nearly bypassing those. So again, find your back in neutral, tummy staying tight, leg at tabletop, and slowly take the weight off the other one. If those people are doing progressed exercises, keep going. Okay, so if you feel you can, 1 foot down, a light little tap with the toes to the floor and pull it back up. When we bring it back up, focus on drawing the tummy towards the spine. With this, don't worry about quantity, look for quality, okay? So if you find that maybe you only get close to the floor but you can't touch the floor, otherwise your back's going to arch, well, don't go the whole way down. Work to a level that you feel that you can feel your core kicking in and you've pushed it to as far as it feels comfortable. Okay, again, that's the only way we're going to progress on and get stronger with our core. If you keep pushing it too far and bypassing the core muscles or the strength that the core can do, then you're going to keep bypassing them, so it's no good. So 1 foot down, light little tap with the toe to the floor, back up and change legs. Again, just be aware of how much weight and pressure is going through the hands. Try to keep them nice and relaxed. That's it, 1 foot down, light little tap with the toe to the floor, back up and change. Now a little progression or a little change that will make a progression is go with a heel tap now instead of a toe tap. Again, really focus on the tummy. We were always told that even easy exercises can be made hard once you're focusing on the muscles we're trying to kick in, okay? So I feel it's definitely in the abdominals, so hopefully you do too. You shouldn't feel the front of the legs kicking in, and if you do, maybe they're starting to compensate for what the tummy's not doing. So maybe just take a break, give the knees a little hug into the chest. Okay, make sure there's no pressure on that back. We're going to go for 2 more each side, starting with my left. That's it, and now right. That's it, focus on tummy towards the spine as I bring the leg back up. Okay, and now give the knees a little hug into the chest and a little rock from side to side. Excellent. Okay, so hopefully feel the tummy kicking in and you have a little bit more of an understanding about how to kick those in. So we're going to work our hip, okay? So I want you to feel this in the bum. If you feel it in the legs, you need to reset or readjust yourself, so just be aware of that. So I'm going to come down onto an outstretched hand. Now if you have a pillow or a cushion close by, you can have the pillow or cushion underneath your head with the hand out in front. Now I've lined up at the back of my mat, and sometimes we think we're straight, but until we're told, we don't really know. So a good thing to do is to line up at the back of the mat. So I have my shoulder there, I have my bum at the back of the mat, and I have my feet at the back of the mat, okay? So they're not back behind and they're not out in front. So from here now, I'm going to lengthen my top leg and stretch it down the end of the mat. I'm feeling for the back of the mat with my foot as well. Now my top hip, I'm going to slightly kind of roll forward, nearly as if I'm going to face towards the floor. Now this is a little bit exaggerated, but again, we want to get the bum kicking in. So if that's what we need to do at the start, that's fine. We don't want to feel the front of the leg and not really the side of the hip either. So top hip is slightly rolled forward. Again, make sure there's no pressure in your back. My heel is at the back of the mat and my foot is flexed, so my toe's not pointed like I'm doing now, it's flexed. So lengthen that leg right down the end of the mat. Imagine I was standing at the end of your mat, pulling your leg down. Okay, really stretch it down. Now pop the hand maybe on the hip. Don't let that move. Okay, so I don't want to see any, well, I'm not going to see, but I don't want you to feel any rocking up and down of the pelvis like I'm doing now. And if you're getting huge movement, maybe you're coming out of position a little bit. So just check into to your positioning. So again, my hand is on my hip, my leg is stretched down, and that has a knock-on effect into my hip, and that's reached down as well. So I'm going to lift my leg only as much as I feel I can't go any higher, as if I've reached a kind of blockage, and I'm going to lower down. I'm going to lift and lower. Again, I'm focusing on my bum, okay? So if you don't feel the bum kicking in, maybe see about getting the top hip a little bit more forward. And can you feel the back of the mat with your foot? If you can't feel the back of the mat with your foot, maybe the leg has gone too far forward and the front of the thigh might be doing too much. That's it. So again, I'm lowering and lifting. That's it. 4 and 3, 2. Again, if you need, don't be afraid just to look up every now and then. Check into where your foot is if you don't have that awareness. Last one. Now I'm holding it hip height. I'm keeping the foot flexed and I'm going into little circles. Now I don't want the circles that the whole body's moving around the place. So keep, again, if you need the hand on the hip, you get a lot of feedback from our hands. We know if something's soft or hard. Okay, so it's the same with the hands. If we hold on, or if we have the hands on the hip, we'll feel if there's movement there. Okay, so you'll know maybe just to cut it out, or else decrease the range a little bit. Now go the opposite direction again, focusing on the bum for 4, 3, 2, 1, and give that top knee a little pull into the chest. Now, so now we're going to bring both feet and both knees out in front. Now we're not going to spend too much longer in this position, but again, I want you to hang the top knee out over the bottom. So make sure we slightly roll forward as if we're facing down towards the floor. And again, this is just an exaggerated position so we can get the bum switched on. And if that's what we need to do at the start, then that's what we'll do. So focusing on the bum, again, we get a lot of feedback from our hands, so I'm literally going to point into the bum. And I'm going to separate the top knee and the foot, squeezing my bum, really focus on it. Do you feel your bum tightening underneath your hand? Okay, and then lower back down, squeezing the bum, lift, and then lower. Just be aware, do you feel the front of the leg kicking in? If you do, just see about changing your position a little bit. That's it, we'll go for 5 and 4, 3, last 2, and just one more in this position. Now, so from here, you might get a little bit of awareness or a little bit of movement in the abdominals, and that's perfect. Keep the knees down, but lift both feet up. And again, if the pelvis moves, that's fine. Okay, still focusing on the bum, separate the top knee. Keep the heels and the toes together. Try not to let the toes get tense or the legs get tense. So heels and toes together. Separate the top knee, feeling the bum kicking in, and then lower the knees back down together. That's it, just isolating the hip, again focusing in on the bum for 4 and 3, last 2, and we got one more, and rest back down. Okay, so we're going to come up onto the elbow. Okay, elbows directly underneath the shoulder. I'm going to have the feet back in line with the back of the mat again. Okay. And with this again, you can just go through the motions, or else you can focus on the muscles that you're kicking in. So if you're down on the elbow like I am now, you might feel a bit of pressure onto the shoulder, maybe up into the neck. Okay, so we want to do something about that. We want to work this bottom side. So we're going to lift the ribs. Now I'm using my other hand, just get a little bit of feedback to lifting the ribs, lifting the waist, lift the hips up. We are going to be pushing through the elbows and the elbow and the knees, but lift the hips up. And now I want you to push the hips forward as if you're standing up tall, getting the shoulders back, opening up the chest. And when you push the hips forward, squeeze the bum. The muscles in the bum are called the glutes. We don't use them half enough. Okay, so again, try just wake them up, fire them up. Hips are pushed forward, shoulders back. If you feel you can, top hand to the ceiling. Those who've done class with me before, lengthen that leg, lift it up. That's it, we're holding up there for 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest back down. So we're going to add a little bit of rotation into the next one. Again, completely optional. You can continue with what we just did either. So again, the same idea. So again, focusing on lifting the ribs, lifting the waist, hips coming up, pushing the hips forward, top hand to the ceiling. So those who've done class with me before, lengthen that leg and continue with the rotation. So top hand comes in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then come forward again. And again, get the hips pushed forward. The hips might sit back a little bit when we rotate, and that's fine, but just make sure to push them forward again when we come forward. That's it, last one. Top hand in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then coming forward and rest back down. Okay, so we're going to swing around, do the other side before we forget. Okay, so yeah, see me again. So we're down onto outstretched hand. We're going to start with my shoulder, my bum, and my feet at the back of the mat, and I'm down on outstretched hand. Again, you have the option for the pillow underneath your head with the hand out in front. Lengthen that top leg. Those who've done class with me before, I forgot to mention, but you can come up onto the elbow. I say Bernie's loving me right now. So lengthen that top leg. Okay, again, feel for the back of the mat, and if you need, top hip slightly forward. Again, it is a bit exaggerated, but it's just to get the bum kicking in, okay, so to get the right muscles switched on. Keep the top hip forward, foot is back, lift and lower. Again, there shouldn't be any movement like I'm doing now with my pelvis, okay? So again, just lift until you feel maybe about the pelvis is about to move, or lift until you feel a blockage that you can't go any higher. That's it, and then we lift and lower. That's it, keeping the hips slightly forward if you need. Foot is back. I hope everyone can see me okay. That's it, and we'll go for 5 and 4. Last 3 and 2. Last 1. Okay, into little circles. So again, with the beginners, is very subtle, okay? It's small movement. It's just to get the control and the awareness into it, get the right muscles kicking in. Change direction, opposite way around. Again, focusing in on the bum. Make sure there's no pressure on that back. We never want pressure on the back. 3 and 2. Last 1, and give the knee a little pull into the chest. Like we did before, both knees and feet out in front. And again, just to make sure we kick in the bum, I want the top knee hanging out over the bottom, really focusing in on the bum. So again, I'm going to push my finger into my bum. Okay, focus on the bum as we lift the knee and the foot, squeezing the bum, not having the front of the leg do the work. And lift the knee and the foot, and then lower. So you definitely don't want your body rocking back, okay? So you don't want to be getting the pelvis moving as you isolate the leg. So it's just isolating the leg at the hip joint, okay? So keep the pelvis facing forward. That's it, squeezing the bum as you lift and lower. That's it for 5 and 4, 3 and 2. Last 1, and rest back down. Now, so again, a little bit of tightening into the tummy. As we lift both feet up, it's kind of naturally going to have a little bit of tightening. Keep the feet together again. Make sure they're not tensed, okay, because then some muscles are going to be kicking in more than the others. Try to keep the heel and the toes together. Having the lower leg relaxed, kicking in the bum and no compensation happening. Focusing on the bum, and lift the top knee and lower. And again, lift the top knee and lower. Focusing in on the bum again if you need. Finger into the bum, getting that feedback, saying that's where we want kicking in. That's it, lift and lower. Make sure the front of the leg is not doing all the work for 5 and 4. Last 3 and 2. Last 1, and rest back down. So like what we did on the other side, up onto the elbow. I have to fix the hair after this as well. Now, so up onto the elbow, my feet are back in line with the bum. And again, like we did the last time, not just going through the motions, focus on what's happening. So I'm slumped back down, my ribs are near the mat. I'm lifting the ribs up using my other hand, lifting the waist, hips are coming up as I kind of push into the elbow, push into the knees. Now, squeezing the bum, push the hips forward, shoulders are back, chest is up. That's it, and hold it up there. Again, if you've done class before, lengthen that top leg, hand to the ceiling if you can, either for beginners. That's it, squeezing the bum, holding up there. Let's go, we'll go for 4 and 3, 2, and rest back down. So next time we have our little rotation in, okay? So again, it's good to get all the movement into the spine, okay? Try not to avoid movements. Okay, just work within whatever feels comfortable for you in a pain-free range. So again, lifting the ribs, lifting the waist, and hips coming up. Push the hips forward, squeezing the bum If you have done this class before, or done class with me before, lengthen the top leg. We're going into our rotation, but again, it's optional. You can stick with just hand to the ceiling or hand on the hip either. Otherwise, hand in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then coming up nice and tall. So reach back as much as you can. Imagine there's something nice back there that you want. That's it. And when we come forward, you're pushing the hips forward. Last one, top hand in underneath, reaching up back behind, and then coming up. Okay, and rest back down. So we're going into a stretch now. It can be a little bit uncomfortable for people if they're quite tight at the hips, okay? So if you are, I'm going to give you different options. So we're going to see about a kind of a cross leg position, but if that's a no-go for you, just have legs together with the knees bent, maybe a pillow or cushion in between the thighs to get the inner thighs, or to get the knees together, or else just have them out straight. If you find it a bit uncomfortable, maybe just get like a pillow or some books or something even to sit up onto as well, if this is not a comfortable position for you. Okay, so cross-legged if you can. And I'm going to have my right hand on the floor. So I'm pushing my right hand down, I'm lifting my left hand up. So I'm going to side bend over to my right, and I'm going to get a stretch on my left. Now I'm going to come a little bit more straight onto the camera. So my right hand is down, my left hand is up, and I'm side bending over. So my right elbow is bending, so I can get that side bend in the spine. Now I'm stretching through the fingertips. So imagine someone, or I was standing over you, pulling your arm up. So not a limp hand, really stretch. Feel a lovely stretch down that left side. Imagine you're pushing your left hip back down into the mat as you stretch your left arm away from it. Now, so from here, just take a breath in. Really focus on the air going wide into the ribs. One more breath, breathing in. Air going wide into the ribs. Feel that increases stretch. Now, if it feels comfortable, don't let the hand fall forward, but lean forward a little bit from the hip. Feel that stretch coming towards the back now. And now just relax forward out of it as we slump around. Left hand staying on the floor, right hand high up. Stretch that right hand up. Bend the left elbow as you side bend over. Again, push that right hip back down into the mat. As you stretch away, again, try not to have a limp hand. If you can, reach through the fingers, reach. That's it, through the arm. Now again, don't let the hand fall forward, but lean forward from the hip. Feel that stretch going towards the back. Again, if something doesn't feel comfortable for you, work with what does, or within the range that does feel comfortable for you. Maybe come to that point that things are starting to feel uncomfortable, but don't force it, and then fold forward around out of it. So we're going to come on to hands and knees. We're going to be finishing with ones down the tummy. And the ones down the tummy can be a little bit tricky for people to get, so don't get frustrated. Again, it's the first class of the beginners, so just take in your time. But first of all, we'll start off on hands and knees. Make sure everyone can see me, alright? We'll come around here so my bum is not facing me. Okay, so I'm up on hands and knees, hands on the shoulders, knees on the hips. Now, so at the start, anyone who's done class with me before, you can just go straight into this and maybe just do a few press-ups while we're introducing this one into it. So hands on the shoulders, knees on the hips. Now, we need to set up our core. Okay, so a way that I kind of cue doing this is if we dip the back down, okay, tummy's coming down towards the mat. My bum is sticking up to the ceiling. So right down the end of the spine, you have your tailbone, okay, that's sticking up. My tummy's not working, my bum's not working, that's relaxed. Remember we said at the start, for a healthy muscle we need to find, or we need to be able to contract it as well as relax it, okay? But we don't want this pressure on the back, okay? So if you dip down, you might find pressure. So what we need to do is focus maybe on the breastbone coming towards the belly button, or else the pubic bone coming towards the belly button. So the pubic bone is the bony point down the center from the belly button, okay? So focus on those 2 points coming closer together. Now again, we're not bringing them really close together, okay? We're getting a little bit of tightening into the tummy as they come close together, so we feel like our back is in kind of a flattened position, okay? Till you have that awareness into your tummy. And we're going to keep that tightening into the tummy. Try not to let the weight shift from side to side. Those who have doing the press-ups can stop and join us. And we're going to send one leg back behind. So when I send the leg back behind, don't let the back dip, okay? So just gain that awareness. And a good thing to do is maybe to do the side onto a mirror, or if you have your camera on, is to look at the camera. So send the leg back, squeezing the bum. My foot is flexed. I'm not pointed. Okay, so maybe do a few with them flexed and just feel or see what you feel. So it brings length into my back of the body. Okay, it helps me feel my bum kicking in a little bit more. Now alternate legs. So when you change legs, try not to have a big shift of weight from side to side. Keep that tummy tight. Go back with the right leg. Is the leg going straight back, or is it kicking out to the side? Again, if it's kicking out to the side, is there a lot of tightness on the outside of the hips? Now we're going to introduce the opposite hand if you feel up to it. Don't force it though. If you're struggling with this or you do find it tough today, just keep it just the legs. Okay? But if you can, go with the left leg back, tummy staying tight, and slowly lift the right leg out, or right hand out and stretch it out in front. Now when we go with the hand, make sure the back hasn't dipped and the leg hasn't gone up. And again, don't lose your concentration. So go with the right leg only first, and then go with the left hand. Again, get that awareness into the tummy. Do you still feel the tummy kicking in? And then back with the hand and leg at the same time. Now I encourage people not to go with the hand and leg at the same time, because people tend to lose a little bit of concentration and a big dip or big arch comes in. So go with the left leg, right hand, and slowly back, and right leg, left hand, and slowly back. Shoulders drawn down the back. If you're not too sure, just bring them up to the ears as much as you can, and then you know that the furthest point away is where you want them. We'll go for 2 more each side. Left leg, right hand, and slowly back, and left leg. Tummy tighten. Oh, sorry, right leg, left hand, and slowly back. Shoulders drawn down the back. Again, a little bit of tightening into the tummy. Focus on the bum as the left leg goes back. Tighten the tummy, right hand out overhead. Make sure the weight hasn't shifted back. Okay, so don't shift back as the hand and leg go. Again, tummy tight. Feeling the bum kick in as the right leg goes back. Tighten the tummy, left hand out overhead. And then slowly back. Okay, so we'll sit the bum back onto the heels, hands out in front. That's it. Try to get down as low as you can. If you need, have the knees go wide. Now we're going to bring both hands over to your right hand side. So if you have any tightness down the left side, it's a really nice exercise just to help target that. So right hand to the right side of the mat, left hand out on top, and stretch out there. And now both hands over to your left hand side. Okay, and back up. Now, so we're going to come down onto the tummy. We're going to work the back. If you're not familiar with this, maybe just watch and just listen to the instruction. If you're familiar with this, you can start in straight away. So we're going to work the muscles down each side of the back. These muscles that we're trying to kick in are responsible for when we sit, when we stand, when we walk. So they're meant to be working for long durations and at low intensity. So at the start we mentioned about 2 types of muscles, okay? And these are the ones that we want to be kicking in when we're sitting, standing, walking. We get people that come in maybe with back issues, or maybe people you know that they are fine when they're running marathons and doing high intensity and in the gym, no problems with that, but it's when they're sitting and standing is when they get the pain. So perhaps then their core is being bypassed, okay, with those power muscles. They're so used to powering through everything. So this exercise here can be quite useful for that, but again, it can be a little bit frustrating when you're not used to kicking them in, okay? So just take your time. It has to be kind of slow and controlled. So we're going to come down onto the tummy. Okay, my elbows are bent and in by my sides. I'm not going to push through the hands, okay? So I'm focusing on my lower back, either side of the spine. Okay, a little bit of tightening into the bum, into the tummy. And I'm not pushing through the hands. Now, so I'm gonna do a breath. And with this, it's the opposite than people expect or that are used to, but it works, okay? So I want you to focus on your breath out when you lift. So even maybe before we lift, just as you're lying down, just take a breath in. feel what's happening. Your tummy's pushing down into the mat, your hips feel like it's lifting. When you breathe out, feel yourself sinking down, but no pressure against the mat. So we'll do that again, breathing in. Feel your tummy pushing down into the mat, feel your hips kind of raising up. And when we breathe out, feel yourself just relaxing down into the mat. Feel the hips relaxing down, feel the tummy tightening. As you breathe in, the tummy's pressing out against the mat. And as you breathe out, it's relaxing as it tightens. So as when we breathe out is when I want to lift the upper body. So my upper body's relaxed. I'm going to breathe out. My tummy is tightening, again to get the air out of the lungs. And I'm going to lift the chest and the shoulders. And breathe in as I lower. Breathing out, my hips are lowering down. My core is tightening as I lift my chest and shoulders. And in and lower. Now I'm not looking up and down with my head. I'm breathing out, focusing on my lower back as I lift. And in and lower. And breathing out. And in and lower. Now you can go the other way with the breath and just see how it feels. Okay, you can maybe not concentrate on the breath and see how it feels. Again, just focus on the muscles you want to kick in. Okay, breathing out. And in and lower. You want those lower back muscles kicking in. Again, if you're a little bit tight today or a little bit sore, don't force it. They're muscles that will kick in even when you're anticipating the exercise. So even now, I feel them kicking in even though it doesn't look like I've lifted. Okay, I can feel them kicking in and then lower down. We're just going to go for 2 more. We're not going to spend too long with this. It can be a little bit frustrating if you don't get it, and it can be hard when it's online to kind of get what you're trying to do. So breathing out and in and lower. Last one. Breathing out and in and lower. So the last one we're going to do now is going to be for getting awareness into the bum. Okay, so yeah, if you're used to my classes, you know I'm all about the glutes. So we're going to rest the head down on the hands. We're going to have the elbows out wide. So try not to lift up onto them. So rest the upper body completely down. Now I'm going to lift my head, obviously, to talk, but you rest your head right down once you see what we're doing. So my feet are close together, just hip width apart, but not mat width apart, or not glued together, just where they fall kind of comfortably naturally. I'm going to focus in on the bum, keeping a little bit of tightening into the tummy and the bum. I'm going to focus on the bum as I lift one leg. Now I'm not lifting up too high that the back feels like it's going to arch, or that my pelvis is rocking from side to side. So only lift as much as you feel, nothing else is moving. And then I'm going to alternate legs. Focusing on the bum, lift one leg and lower, and lift the other leg and lower. And again, just try to get the glutes kicking in, the muscles in the bum. Just be aware that when you lift the leg, is it being pulled off to one side, or do you feel it lifting straight up? Again, can you lift one leg higher than the other before you feel like anything else is moving? Again, just to kind of take note within your body how that is. And again, don't forget to relax the leg completely when you rest it. Again, to keep a healthy muscle, we need to learn to contract and relax it. We go for 2 more each side. Again, those who've done class before, you can stretch the hands out overhead. That's it, 2 more each side. And last one each side. And rest back down. So we're going to come up for a stretch. Just be careful when you're coming up, okay? Just make sure not to arch the back when we lift up, okay? So if you can, get the hands back in underneath the shoulders, okay? We're going to push the weight back as we lead up with the bum. So stick the bum up into the air as you sit back, okay? So just not to put too much pressure on the back when we're coming up, okay? And stretch the hands right out. Now when we're down in this position, just try to get the chest and the head down as low as you can. And again, we'll just focus on the breath. So when you breathe in, try to get the air wide into the ribs. Make sure we're not breathing up through the shoulders. And just nice relaxed breath out. Breathing in through the nose, try to get the air wide into the ribs. And breathing out. last one, breathing in through the nose. Air going wide into the ribs, into the back. And breathing out. Okay, and slowly coming up. So thank you everyone. So that was a little week 1 of our beginner class. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for all our WhatsApp group participants who took part, and everyone then who joined us in on our live. So yeah, look, if you enjoyed it on the live, you took something from it, don't forget to leave some comments, leave some love, and maybe if you want to see a bit more of it, just just leave some comments and ask for more. We can see about doing maybe doing the same next week. So thank you very much everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.